society's perceptions of sustainability are changing, and that's we've seen that the acceleration really started with Greta's influence when she was protesting outside the Swedish Parliament for the Swedish government to honour their commitments to the Paris Agreement. Since then, what we've seen is a culmination in September this year, 6 million people on the streets worldwide protesting to really say, actually, this is something we need to take really seriously. Mm-hmm. In terms of the industry, we know from Booking.com's Consumer Trends report that in 2019, 77% of consumers that were asked says that they wanted more bookable options. Now, of course, the cynic could say, well, wait a second, if anyone's asked, I want more bookable options, they may say yes, and there will be a part of that in those stats. However, what it is showing is the consumer is becoming more interested in this, and that's something we're going to see building over time.
What is it that makes Scotland so well placed, really, to cater for this new interest in sustainability?
There's a few reasons. Scotland is well placed because the proposition to the consumer already has the backdrop of beautiful scenery, authentic local food offerings, welcoming hosts, and that's what the consumer already thinks about Scotland. So the sustainability message just fits in and really enhances that message. Also, what we're seeing just now in terms of brand Scotland worldwide is the Scottish Government really are taking action. They were the first government globally to declare a climate emergency, and so many have followed since. And since then, that momentum is continuing because they're saying that by 2045, Scotland will be a net zero producer or in terms of carbon. So that's really going to set the tone for how Scotland's positioned and how businesses can position themselves within that context.
It's such a huge issue, but it can be distilled down into simple things that people really get engaged with. For example, straws, plastic straws. That's been something that you now see really everywhere you go. People are really very conscious of that and are making more of an effort. And it's making these little changes, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think it is the little changes, and I think that's sometimes why it's difficult for businesses and people to grasp sometimes, because it is lots of these little changes, and it's sometimes difficult to articulate how big an impact you're making when there's these small changes, and I think that's something we need to overcome and unpack as a society, how we really do that.
One of the real key ideas behind sustainability is actually having a sense of purpose. So obviously our purpose is to invite guests to come and experience yoga and all the other benefits and lovely things that can happen up in the west coast of Scotland. But more than that, there's a purpose which is underlying that, which is to really bring about the essence of what a sustainable lifestyle could mean to ordinary people. So we encourage our guests to think about all aspects of the way they arrive at eco-yoga, what they get whilst they're there, and what they learn and what they take away back, and spread that through society. So we have a real sense of purpose, and I would suggest to your listeners that, that other than your core business, whatever activity you're involved in, to bring about a sense of purpose about the wider picture of the world. So what we instill upon our guests, and we try and educate the public, is that if we have a sustainable world, if we run the whole world from renewable energy, we live in a world of abundance. It never runs out. It costs nothing. It has no environmental impact. You can have the heating on in your house all day long. You can have hot baths or showers all day long, and so on like this. It's often thought that a renewable world is slightly austere and that we all have to wear hairy jumpers and take, cold showers or something like this. But no, the opposite is true. It's actually free, literally free energy. And this is the wonderful thing. And when people come to eco-yoga and experience the abundance that nature provides, it's a real eye-opener. In fact, we even have quite seasoned environmentalists who haven't really taken that notion on board that renewable energy at its logical conclusion is a world of abundance.
What we've brought together is, okay, how does a business who doesn't have the experience of sustainability, how do they start and trying to get a feel for that tangible, okay, what's the next steps? The first thing we would say is, create a green action plan. It doesn't have to be really complex. It can simply be, what are you going to do in the next year, who's going to do it, and when's it going to be done by? And what we would say is, go for some realistic quick wins in there. And what that allows the staff to do is just get a feel for, actually, this isn't that difficult to do that. And also for your consumer to, you'll start to see from your consumer, they'll start to comment on it, and it will really start to enhance your brand. So with that in mind, we've brought together the top 5.
Okay, great. Love
So,
a top 5.
yes, so for the top 5, the rules of the top 5 are, it must be affordable in a really tight budget for businesses out there. It must be implemented by really busy staff, and it must showcase your commitment to being part of the solution to your guests so that it elegantly enhances your brand. So number 5 is print on Forest Stewardship Council verified paper. Essentially what that tells your consumer is that that's paper which is recycled or it's from well-managed forests. And if businesses are going to do that, they should make sure to put that on the flyer. It doesn't have to be the big FSC logo that's on it. It can be a little elegant footnote at the side, and it just says to your consumer, actually, we've thought about the small things along the way here. At number 4 is promote low carbon travel. Now, essentially, it's saying to your guests, give the car a day off. If you can put on your website and show the consumer, actually, to get to our visitor attraction or to get to our hotel, here's how you can use public transport. It's really easy. You can go off here and it's a very short walk. Or there's a bike rack on site and your bike is safe here. And I've seen businesses operate in 2 ways. Provide the incentive for guests, but also use it as a bit of an upsell opportunity to say, okay, if you arrive by public transport and you can show your ticket, you get 20% off your first coffee or something like that, and they use it as a bit of an upsell opportunity.
I like that.
The next thing is promote the, number 3, promote the provenance of your products that you're selling, either in your gift store or if it's food that you're serving. There's so many businesses throughout Scotland who are sourcing locally. They're putting money into these local businesses to help them sustain themselves, and they're also reducing the food miles of the food and the produce. At 2 is essentially, green tourism have a carbon calculator which allows businesses to calculate their carbon footprint. Now I would imagine Nick's businesses, that's a really small carbon footprint for the size of the operation. But that's something that businesses can access, utilise their bills, put information in, and they can have a certificate at the other side which shows them how they've reduced their carbon over time. And that's something it can embed in the story that they tell to guests to help them engage and actually see the journey you're on as a business.
Yeah,
that's good. I like that too.
And finally, the sign up to the refill campaign. It's a really straightforward thing for businesses to do. They can sign up, and essentially it provides marketing materials and your business on an app to say, actually, if there's a consumer who wants to fill up they don't want to use a single-use bottle, they want to fill up a reusable bottle, then you're a welcoming host that will really
so is that what that is? I hadn't heard of that before.
That's right.
It's just for water, is it?
That's right. So it's for filling up, and essentially what you're saying to guests in that case is, we don't want single-use plastic either. We're part of the solution, and you can fill up your reusable bottle here.